Welcome to the What If It's Not Depression podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Achina Stein. Today, we are going to talk to Anna Marie Frank, who is a traditional naturopath. She's also a brain health professional and international coaching federation certified coach and lover of life. She's also an author, speaker, employee wellness consultant, mindset life coach, life guide coach. And her mission is to end mental health stigmas and help all people upgrade their brains and biology through lifestyle choices while rewiring their neural pathways using holistic modalities. Anna Marie healed her own brain after years of depression and challenges with dyslexia and ADD. ADD, boy, I'm having trouble speaking today. She is the creator and owner of Happy Whole You, and a brain health focused wellness center located in Bakersfield, California, and Raleigh, North Carolina. Anna Marie is also the formulator of her own brain nutraceutical line, which includes Happy You, Calm You, and Bright You. And she is the author of the self-improvement book, Stop Bullying Yourself, a guide to greater health, wealth, happiness, and success. If you like this episode, please click the like button and subscribe. Welcome, Anna Marie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I am so excited to learn more about why you went into this field, because I know you healed your own brain and turned your life around. And that is amazing, because when you're suffering, it's kind of hard to think about how to heal yourself when it's your brain. I mean, it's different if it's a different organ, but you have to use your brain to kind of heal yourself, So I would love to hear your story and talk a little bit about what it was that you were experiencing and what you could, in a summary about what you did that helped to turn your life around.
Yeah, no, thank you. So my journey, it's really started when I was younger. For some reason, I just never felt like I was good enough. Yet I had a lot of successes. I was smart. I didn't believe it at the time, but I got decent grades. I was an athlete, and but back when I was in high school, people didn't really talk about depression or anxiety or anything like that. So I didn't know that I had, or I was experiencing depression. I just thought something was wrong with me. Nobody liked me and I didn't like myself. But I put on this happy face. And it wasn't until I went through university and then went into my career where I just was so depressed and had such a low mood. And so I went to a psychiatrist because I thought that's what you do. I got health insurance. So I thought, oh, yay, now I can get fixed. And so I went to this psychiatrist's office and I filled out a ton of paperwork. And I remember my time with him was like 10 or 15 minutes. And I left with 3 prescriptions. And so I went and I filled them like a good student and I started taking them. And they made me worse. I didn't want to be alive. I started having more thoughts about, oh, wouldn't it be better if I just wasn't here? How could I do that? And just my thoughts were like, I was like, I feel like I'm getting worse, but I'm supposed to feel better because they gave me pills. And so I went back multiple times just looking for him to change the pills. And over a period of time, the last visit I had, I was lucky enough to have a little light inside of me that was like, wake up. You're the only person that can make yourself happy. And I know most people don't get this little light. So for whatever reason, I got it. And I went into his office and I sat down and I remember he just started drilling me with these questions, are you hearing voices, and like, do you want to kill yourself? And like, he just drilled them. It was very, very military-like. And then in the middle of our conversation, him asking me questions, his phone rang and he did his flip phone and he started taking a call, didn't say, excuse me, nothing. And I sat there and I felt so small. And I thought, I need to get out of here. Like, I need to leave this place. And I had never really been stood up for myself in front of a doctor. And he got off his flip phone and then he went right back to the questions, like didn't even acknowledge that he took a call during my session. And I just said, I need to leave right now. And he looked at me like confused. And I was like, I don't appreciate you taking a call during my session. And he just looked at me like, who are you? Like, don't talk to me
Mhm.
that way. And then
Mhm.
he pulled out of the folder, he had 3 prescriptions. He had already written prescriptions before I even saw him or talked to
Wow.
him. So I walked out of there and I threw the prescriptions in the trash. And this is again my story. I'm not telling other people to do this. And I walked out there and I walked outside and I just felt like this weight lifted off of me. But it was like I was scared, but I was like empowered. It was really weird. And I thought, I have to change what I am doing because I was doing the same things over and over and over again, wanting a different result. And we all know what
Mm.
that equals to
Right.
insanity. And so then I just set forth on a journey of, I thought, okay, I need to eat a little bit better. I need
Right.
to be consistent with my exercise, but I would use exercise as a punishment. So there were a lot of psychological things going on with me. Uh,
Mm. Can I
and so
ask how many years ago that was?
that was about 17 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've come a long way. Yeah. I'm so sorry that you had such a horrible experience with a psychiatrist. It breaks my heart when people tell me stories like that. And there are people who have really good experiences too with medication. So, unfortunately, it is a matter of finding the right person, to get what your needs are, get your needs met. And so I'm glad that you were able to have that little light that empowered you to stand up for yourself, because clearly you needed to with this person.
Yeah.
So, oh, bravo, bravo. So that was the beginning of your health journey. So, can you talk more about, what you did, and, in terms of that? I mean, that was the beginning.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you did that got you, to the place? I mean, obviously not the 17 years following, but what were
Yeah.
the big movers for you?
Yeah. So the biggest thing, and this is when, phones started coming out and then smartphones. And I was thinking, gosh, like if you can like have a phone where you can program things in it, and we have computers and you can program computers, like I started to view my brain as literally like a computer. Like if I can rewire a computer, if I can download different things on a phone, I should be able to rewire my brain. And so I started to just pay attention to the things I was doing consistently that were the same as before. And I thought, that's how you used to be. This is not how you are anymore. And I started to change my behaviors.
Mm,
Biggest thing was I stopped drinking. I stopped hanging around certain people.
mm,
I started to, you know, try to use exercise as more of a fun thing versus a punishment that I had to, exercise because I had to burn so many calories because I ate whatever. And I just started to change my view on really everything. And it wasn't like it happened overnight. It was over a period of time. And really just looking for what was there for me, because I remember I had gone to a training and they had said like, look, they said to pick, there were 2 colors. So blue was the first color. So it was like, okay, look for everything that's blue in this room. And I was like, okay, I looked around, I found everything that was blue. And then they said, close your eyes and think of everything that's red. And I was like, trying to remember like what's red. And I couldn't, and they're like, try to get like 5 or 6 things that are red. Well, the whole point of it was, and I couldn't, was when you're only focused on the one thing, that's all you're going to see. So I was constantly focused on what was going wrong with me in my life. Like, oh, I spilled coffee on
mm,
myself. Oh, my boss doesn't like me. Oh, this bad thing happened and that bad thing happened. So it was always there for me. And once I started to shift to be like, what is good? What is here for me? What is going well? And, now we all talk about gratitude and journaling and all that. It's like I had to start programming my brain to start seeing what was good in the world and really searching for it. And it's not a search, it's right there for us every single day. But you have to literally switch that wiring in your brain to look for it.
right. Absolutely. Yeah. You use the word wiring, and I use creating a new groove, which is kind of the same thing,
Yeah.
creating a new groove through repetition, 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 because it takes practice
Yeah.
to notice these things. So awareness is definitely the first key. how things aren't working for you, what things were working for you, like you said, and
Mhm.
then creating those that rewiring process. Yeah. And it's habits that are going to do that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. We talk about rewiring. What are some other things that people can do to rewire? That I
Yeah.
love that term, rewiring their brain. Right.
Yes, I think another thing that people can do is to untether yourself to the labels you've been given. So I was told I had depression. I was told I have ADHD. I was told I'm dyslexic.
Mm,
And so I identified with all of those things. And those are things that I feel like are not mine to have or to own. They are things I experience.
mm,
And so every time I was given a label, and I'll use a very simple, I think this is kind of universal. I was an athlete and I was a really good athlete. And there is this stigma between being an athlete and not being smart, right?
mm.
Like a dumb
Right.
job.
Right.
And there's all this stuff that gets portrayed on TV and all of that. And subconsciously, a lot of times we're identifying with those labels and we're not even recognizing the patterns and the things that we're choosing to fit in with that label that we subconsciously have been told or registered that that's how we are, who we are, whatever. So I had to start like unwiring from that. um and it took some time, and I still find myself doing that. It's very interesting because I am very smart, and I didn't realize
Mhm.
how smart I was until I started to really rewire my brain.
Mm,
um, and so I think to untether yourself from the labels and really ask yourself what's possible without this. Because
mhm.
I think sometimes, like for me, I wanted to be the victim. So I had to tell people I was depressed. I have ADHD. That's why I can't do this. And that's why I screw things up. And oh, I'm dyslexic. So, and it gave me like almost like an excuse, if you will. I used it as a crutch and I didn't need it. I'm powerful without all of that. That just helped me on my journey.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah. There's a difference between having awareness around something and choosing to change it, accept it, and then change it versus using it as an excuse or a crutch, as you say. There is a subtlety that people need to understand. So just so the audience knows that just because you have a diagnosis doesn't mean you are using it as a crutch,
right.
but
Oh, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
but it is something that it's important to see if that's something that's happening within you, because you're right, it occurs unconsciously or subconsciously, and you don't even know
Mhm.
that that's happening. But everybody has biases,
Yeah.
unconscious and subconscious biases, or prejudices, unfortunately, in this day and age, it's hard to talk about those biases because then people are so afraid of being called something like a racist or whatever. And you can have these biases and not know it. That doesn't necessarily mean you're a racist, or prejudiced against a specific group. So it's important to know what these biases are that affect you, and like you said, untether. I love that word that you use, untethering.
You know
um
what I love that you said is you said choose.
mhm,
We are the really who we are today based on every single choice we've made up to this moment, no matter what our background is, but it's literally what we choose. And I think that when we take the power back and realize we get to choose our life, we get to choose things. And yes, bad things happen and things happen, but it's how we choose to respond or react to it that
mhm.
can really be powerful. And I know for me, one of the biggest things is when I allowed myself to accept where I was at because of my choices, not blaming other people, that was really empowering. And the other thing that I think we can do is to be curious. I
Absolutely.
ask people, tell me more about that. Really, what was that like for you? Instead of like, I try to do that so much with clients, and then even with myself when I have a repetitive thought or something that comes in, instead of judging myself or feeling bad, like, oh, I'm feeling this way again, I'm like curious. I'm like, oh, I wonder where that's coming from. What could have
Right.
triggered me, or what, and so choosing and being curious is like, I feel like that's helped me a lot. So some of you
Right.
might be able to use those nuggets.
Absolutely. I talk about those things all the time. Yeah. And it's sometimes it is when people work with me, being that I am a physician, there is another, uh, what did you call it? Like another, box that people put themselves in, let's say, that because I'm a doctor and they're the patient, that there's these roles of
Mhm.
the doctor telling the patient what to do. And it's a little hard, I think, sometimes when I say, well, these are my recommendations. It's up to you to decide whether or not you want to follow them. And it's almost like, there is this idea that, well, if you tell me to do it, then I'll do it. But if you don't tell me to do it, and I have to choose, I probably won't do it. But see, that's where the empowering comes in, right? It is up to you to decide. And it shouldn't be quote unquote doctor's orders, because it's you taking control over your life. And
Yeah.
so what happens is, if it is a doctor's order, then it becomes this negotiation. Oh, well, can I put gluten back in sooner? Well, that's kind of up to you, because if I tell you that's not going to necessarily reach your goals, that's up to you to decide whether or not you want to reach your goals or not, right? So it's hard for people to shift into this collaboration about your health, as opposed to, a doctor telling a patient what to do. So there's all these shifts that need to be changed in terms of mindset, in order for people to reach their goals, and they don't even realize that that's a barrier that they've set up, right? Anyway, so you have, you've talked about rewiring your biology through your downloads, and you've mentioned a couple things. Is there anything else that you want to add that you think would be really important?
Yeah, I just think that for all of us, and this is how my brain worked, but everything you do is essentially downloading information to your cells and to your energy field.
Mhm.
And it's important that we pay attention to that. So the relationships that you partake in, the thoughts that you have continuously, those have a huge impact. What you're eating, are you hugging someone every day? Are you having that touch? Are you getting sunshine and sunlight every day? So literally everything we're doing is giving information to our body. And so when we start to pay attention to those downloads and just bring awareness around it, and it really can be very, very helpful.
Great, great. So there are some modalities of specifically naturopathic holistic
Mhm.
healing, that you have used and recommended. Can you talk more about those?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do this thing at our wellness centers where we combine kind of old school Chinese medicine, holistic modalities with like high tech. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of devices and things out there that are very effective. The technology, some of it has been around for a while, and some of it is just now where people can actually access it at affordable level.
Mhm.
So some of the things that I do, I'll use plant stem cells with clients. Those are been very, very effective with clients.
Mhm.
I use nutraceuticals. I have my own line of 3
Right.
different brand nutraceuticals to help with the body. And then, I do muscle response testing. I do some energy stuff that I know we'll talk about. But at the center, we have like red light therapy. So full body
Mm.
red light therapy. People love it because it helps with like collagen, fine lines, wrinkles, all that. But what I like about it is it helps with charging the mitochondria in the body, and it helps with serotonin, and people get out and just feel really good. We also have a medical grade sauna. So
Mm.
you go in the sauna, it's medical grade. It has a full spectrum of infrared light that is very healing to the body. And so not only when you're in it are you getting amazing therapy, but one thing that happens is when you step out and you've been in this heat, you step out and then it's like, oh, it's nice and cool, right? So you get that those good feel good hormones dumping in the body. We also use microvascular beamer therapy to help decrease metabolic waste in the vascular system. We use theta therapy, which helps really force people into a meditative state. That theta state, it's right
Mhm.
before you fall asleep, you're awake. That's when your brain is most open to suggestion. And this theta pod that we use, and we use this thing called a theta chair. I always tell people it's like turning on all the lights in the brain, right? Like we're
Mm,
turning everything on, because a lot of times it's like, you go into this big house and you only turn on the kitchen light and in the bathroom light and your bedroom light, right? Like we're turning everything on to be like, hey, what's going on? So we can like really help with change those neural networks that we create, right? And
mhm.
so we use that therapy, and we use biocharger therapy, which is a frequency generator machine. And so those are like some of the higher tech hacks that we do. And I mean, I created Happy Whole You because it was, the storefronts now, because I was able to find technology that could literally help people start to shift and change way quicker than it took me, right? Like I took many, many years to heal my brain, and, we're constantly molding a new brain.
Right.
But if I can help people, our brain is the strongest pharmacy on planet Earth. If I can help people kind of shift what's going on in their brain and get them to feel good and use these different modalities, that's a step in the right direction. And so I think that's what you were wondering about, what were the modalities that we use.
Yeah, yeah. So are these modalities that people can purchase, or they have to go to a place to have them done?
Yeah, so most of the modalities we have, the average person isn't going to be able to afford to purchase them.
Mhm.
So they come to a center like ours. But then there's a lot of things that we teach. So at Happy Whole You, we're all about educating our clients, which I know you are about with your
Mhm.
patients, right?
Right.
And so we try to teach them also some hacks, like going outside, standing barefoot in the grass, to earth, so it resets circadian rhythm, especially if they're having trouble sleeping, doing that first thing in the morning between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m., getting those good rays on the body and the
Mhm.
eyes. And then doing it again between 4 and 7 p.m. So you're trying to reset that circadian rhythm, is
Right.
very helpful. So those are good things that people can do. We do use CES units, which those are FDA approved for anxiety, depression, insomnia.
Mhm.
um, Insurance doesn't cover them, but they can range around $300 for
Mhm.
those who want to use them
Right.
at your home. So yeah.
Great. Yeah. So CES is stands for what? So that my audience.
Cranial electrical stimulation.
Say that again.
Cranial electrical stimulation.
Okay. Is there a company that's involved with that?
There's multiple companies out there that you can find, and I know that, gosh, I forget the one now, but you can go online and then you get a prescription for it,
Hmm.
and then they'll send it to you.
Okay. So there are some I mean, there's a whole bunch of modalities that I use too. I'm just curious as to what you use, and I'm not familiar with the CES therapy unit myself. So it'd be great to
Oh
learn about
yeah,
that.
check that
Yeah,
one out for sure.
yeah, yeah. So I appreciate you mentioning how to reset your circadian rhythm. I think it's really helpful for people. I don't think people realize just how much it can make a difference in going outside at certain times of the day and soaking in that sun. It really can be a game changer for people.
Yeah.
And it is, I want to just emphasize that, because you'll see it written in places and they'll say, oh yeah, of course, but then
Mhm.
they don't do it. Right.
Yeah.
Right. It really is a game changer, especially if you do it every day.
Mhm.
And there is proof of that too. I mean, there are people who are so sensitive to it that it can affect your mood
Mhm.
significantly, to the point of becoming manic or even depressed. The lack of light, or certain times of the year where there's a lot of light, can really change the mood significantly. So it is actually a risk in doing that too, if you spend too much time, or if you don't do it in small doses, in becoming almost too happy for a very, very small percentage of people. So I'm not suggesting that it's a huge risk, but it can happen. Um, so yeah, and I know you do energy medicine as well,
Mhm.
and how to move energy in your body that can improve your mood. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So I was, energy, there's like this blueprint within our energy field in our body of like these energies that it's like we can't see them, right? So if you go inside every single cell till you can't go anymore, the only thing that's left is energy. So to just focus on the physical aspect of our bodies is we're missing a whole piece of healing, right? So we have these meridians that flow throughout the whole body. Think of meridians as highways of energy that connect different organ systems and connect muscle. And then you have what are called like the chakras, and those go from the base of the spine through the crown of your head. And these are pinwheels of energy that flow in and out of the body. And what can happen, like, for example, if someone is in that sympathetic nervous system response, that fight or flight, feeling anxious, feeling heightened a lot of the times, we know that a lot of times that is, the amygdala in the brain and the limbic system in the brain. But then also there's this meridian called the triple warmer, that it's like this energy system, the triple warmer that goes throughout the body. It's like sucks all the energy from going to all the other meridians. And those of you that go to an acupuncturist, you are probably familiar with meridians.
Mhm.
And so there are, for example, if you were to take your hands and wrap one hand around the back of your arm and the other hand, put it along your side, kind of where like your bra line would be for the women. If you were to push your middle finger in the back of your arm and then the middle finger into your side, a lot of times when you are sore and tender there, that is a sign of your triple warmer kind of being on overdrive. So if I have clients that just hold those points when they're laying in bed at night before they go to sleep, they do it for about a week and they are already feeling calmer. So it's kind of telling that triple warmer, hey, everything's fine. Spread the energy, spread the love.
Mhm.
Um, and I'll test people with this. And then another thing that like you and I talked about before we started recording is um, there's this thing called being homolateral, where essentially the energies in the body aren't crossing,
Mhm.
right? And then this can happen where your meridians end up getting flipped backwards. So I won't get into all that, but essentially, like, how important it is right, left hemisphere to cross the energies. And so I do a simple test where literally I have this X above my head and the client is looking up at the X. And then I do a muscle response test with them. So if they get weaker when they're looking at the X, that is an indicator that they are homolateral, meaning their energies aren't crossing. If they are stronger, when I have two vertical lines going straight up, parallel vertical lines, and they're stronger with that, that is indicating that they're homolateral. And a lot of people that are homolateral have challenges with feeling low mood and experiencing depression.
Mhm.
So the simple thing to do, take 2 minutes a day, and you can take your hand, go opposite hand to opposite knee. And then what you do is then you go same hand to same knee. And you do like 20, 30 seconds and you switch. So you're constantly switching them to kind of reprogram. Do that for every day, 2 minutes, couple weeks, and then just go to only the crossing. And I know you have a really good one where you have people cross their arms and then they
Right.
tap their arms, which is good. That's a really good one. Anything you can do to kind of cross, but constantly be crossing. And then you go homolateral and then you go to crossing. And it's really been effective for a lot of my clients. And it's something simple you can do at home. And I always tell them, if you want extra bonus points, go stand barefoot on the ground and do it outside.
Yeah, yeah. Well, even just walking and moving laterally or dancing, like people
Yes.
who move in those fashions don't necessarily have to worry so much. But it is important to try to cross over. And so just, or even, just doing this, uh, on the tapping on the legs and crossing over that way. Patty cake with yourself.
Yes.
To play patty cake with yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So
And
we,
can I
go ahead.
throw in one more? Because this one's just so wonderful.
Oh, absolutely. Go
So
ahead.
if you're the type of person that you get tired around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you just start to feel your energy slump. So you have your collarbone right here, go like right below it, like a 1/4 inch. And if you press and that's tender, you need to spend some time there. So tapping this point or rubbing this point, it's your K27 point. This actually makes sure that all your meridians are flowing forward. So you should be gaining energy throughout the day. If you're losing energy throughout the day, then they're probably flipped back. So just doing this can really help flip those forward and increase energy. Just think of King Kong, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so if you need a pick me up, instead of going for a candy bar, instead of going for Diet Coke or some caffeinated beverage, just tap, 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 tap right here.
Mhm.
Or just press really hard, because these are points. So you have to put a little force behind them. But people get tender. And the way I test clients is, what I'll do is I'll actually have them walk towards me, and I'll muscle response test them. If they're weak when they walk towards me and then they walk backwards and they're stronger on their muscle response test, then they're flipped backwards. So there's ways that I can test to see. It's really very fascinating. It's really interesting. And they're like, what the? So then I'll have them do this. They walk towards me, they're super strong. They walk backwards, they're weak. It's like,
Wow. Wow.
really interesting. The body is very intelligent.
Right. Yes. No, it is fascinating. Absolutely is fascinating. Now, there is no harm in doing these things even without the muscle testing. Right.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to rebalance yourself. It's not going to hurt. Just so people know, like, oh, do I need to have the muscle testing first in order for me to know if this is okay with me? Yeah. I don't think it's necessary.
No, not at all.
Yeah. You can get realigned pretty quickly just doing these tasks, and it's only going to help you, not hurt you in any way.
I do an energy little routine every day. I take like 3 minutes and I do different things, and I'll go stand outside in the grass. My dogs run around, and I just do this movement, and it really helps me. And then I set my intention for the day. So yeah, you don't have to be tested. You just do it. Like, it's
Right.
just so helpful.
Right, right. Yes. So that's why things like Tai Chi are really helpful. It really does move that energy in a really comprehensive fashion. Tai Chi is so amazing for people,
You nailed it.
especially as you get older, and it's great for your balance and balancing many things, not just physically balanced, but
Yeah.
emotionally and spiritually balanced as well. So I strongly recommend that as a practice. And so we talked about your biological downloads that impact your health and happiness, and energy medicine and circadian rhythms, and rewiring your biology through your downloads, and mindset, right?
Mindset is
So
huge.
yeah. So what else? What other nuggets do you have for us? Is there anything we're missing? I want to
Yeah.
extract as much as I can out of your brain.
Well, I think so. I will share this with people. Through the pandemic and what we've all been through, I've found a lot of people kind of beating themselves up over decisions they've made, or, just life, right?
Mhm.
I think pandemic or not, this happens. But what happened during the pandemic that was really unique is a lot of people were in this heightened state, right? So when we're in the limbic system response, that sympathetic nervous system, we get cut off from using our prefrontal cortex. And so that's our executive function, our executive thinking.
Right.
So it's very important that we take a few deep breaths and calm ourselves before we're making, decisions. And just remember, you don't have to make a decision always right away, right? Like, a lot of times we're kind of jump starting, and we need to just give ourselves some time and just not beat ourselves up over what has happened, and like moving forward, how we can be better. But I think a lot of people aren't realizing that their brains they're just not where they could be. And they're not even realizing, because it's been such a small incremental stress going up, that a lot of people they function, and they're functioning well, and they're running businesses, and they're doing all the things. But I think taking some time to reflect, and just looking within and being curious, like, oh, okay, maybe this is happening with me, and okay, what can I do?
Right.
And then things that we talked about today, definitely.
Yeah, because it is a cumulative effect. And
Mhm.
then it kind of creeps up on you, and then you realize, like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? Right.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, how did I get here? And many times you'll spend so much time helping others, get stabilized, or help them to get to a certain place, that you kind of forget about yourself, and
100%.
put yourself on the back burner because you're doing so much for everyone else. So it's really, really important to take care of yourself as well, in conjunction with taking care of other people. And it doesn't have
Yeah,
to wait. You got to do it right now. Start
yeah,
those habits.
yeah.
So speaking of habits, I love the fact that you have a free printable 52-week add-in method calendar that you're going to be sharing for my audience, and people can get a free copy of your book with any online orders. But I love that you have this calendar, add on different habits every week to build changes, small changes, one at a time, building, because that's really what creates change. Ultimately, all those little steps really help. And so thank you for that. I really appreciate you sharing that. Great idea. Great idea. So I will include your website and Instagram page with everyone, so they know how to contact you. Any last words, any last tidbits that you'd like to share with us?
I think just start listening, be mindful of what you're listening to, what you're allowing to come into your body, into your energy field. And just pay attention and be curious. Don't be judgmental with yourself. Just be curious.
Yes, with kindness and compassion.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Anna Marie. I really enjoyed our talk, and I hope that people will find this helpful and reach out to you too. I'm very curious to learn more about your nutraceuticals too. So I'm going to check them out myself and see what I can do, how I can use them for my patient population.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Great. My pleasure.